hour and a half of webinar. We will have the first 15 minutes that will be devoted to the overall presentation of the GILL Hub. So really highlighting the different sections, benefits from different types of stakeholders, key resources and tools available, and so far and so forth. Then we will have a live journey through the platform. So we will really lively navigating the GILL Hub, understanding how the login works, and how it is really easy to access the different sections of the platform. Then we will enter into a showcasing session, let's say. So we will have 3 partners of the GILL project that will explain how they have been benefiting of the GILL Hub within the work they are progressing under their pilot actions in the GILL project. And last but not least, we will have also a focus on the more engaging tools that the platform will provide to anybody, and at the end, an interactive Q&A session. I'm not alone here today as a speaker, so we will be 6 different speakers. One of them actually will be offline because she kindly provided a recording due to the fact that at the same time she's presenting GILL project in a conference in Portugal. I'm here together, as mentioned, with my colleague Arianna Marucci, project manager from the European Network of Living Labs, working together with me on the project. We are here also with Marta Plaza Hernandez, project manager and researcher from the University of Salamanca, with Edda Sellin, researcher at the Lab for Social Informatics, Melbourne University, Arun Ulahannan, assistant professor of Future Transport Design, National Transport Design Center from Coventry University, and offline Hayley Morris, D4D deputy head of operation from the Health Tech Research Center in long-term condition, Device for Dignity. So going into the first session, welcome to the GILL Hub. We hope that this can be really your getaway to gender-responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship. We are part of a project, of a European funded project, the Gendered Innovation Living Labs. So everything has been developed under this, the umbrella of this European project. Just to briefly highlight the project in a nutshell, so to define the framework in which the platform has been developed. The GILL project, as mentioned, is a pan-European initiative which actually aims at fostering gender-responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship. Its bases are following a co-creation and co-design approach, so that the tools, methodologies, and services that have been also uploaded on the hub has been really tested in real-life open ecosystems to be sure that are able to meet stakeholder needs and to engage various stakeholders across the quadruple helix. The key objectives of the project are to promote gender-responsive practices within organization, to incorporate gender and diversity considerations into the service design, product development, innovations, and new technologies, and to develop tools and knowledge that can really support any interested party or any different organization to really foster gender-responsive education. But how it really works? The implementation of GILL project is focused on 15 pilot actions, the so-called action-oriented experimentations, that across the duration of the project are acting as living labs as such. So they follow the 4-phase cycle, the living lab iterative process, to understand within their pilot action which is the problem, to co-design with different stakeholder possible solution, to implement it, and of course to evaluate it, so that we are sure that the continuous improvement and validation are really following the feedback provided by the different stakeholders. I mentioned that we are working across 8 different countries, following 15 pilot actions or action-oriented experimentations that used to follow the co-creation process. These 15 action-oriented experimentations are actually working in different thematic areas, which are the 3 enclosed in the slide: health and resilience, green transition, digital transformation. So we have pilot actions that are related to innovation bridge to increase opportunities and create exploitation pathways of results. We have improving the gender responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship in the transport design, reducing gender inequalities in AI, IT, workplace, and entrepreneurship, and many others. So we really are structured in order to provide solutions to many different types of problems according to these three vertical domains. Going now into the GILL Hub. What is the GILL Hub actually? Is a platform, is a pan-European collaborative platform that really encloses many different resources, tools, methods available for free and for anybody. And the main objective of this platform, by providing all these tools, methods, and resources, it is to support gender-responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship across Europe, across different types of organizations, and beyond. Which are the key features of the GILL Hub? What can you find on it, actually? So, going into the different sections, the first one is, of course, the homepage, which provides an overview of all the sections that the Hub offers. Then we have a Meet section, which is the most interactive part of the Hub and includes a lot of different tools for engaging in real time with experts, networks, communities, and so far and so forth. We have an Explore section that provides access to the description and the work of the different action-oriented experimentations that I was referring a few minutes ago. We also had a good practice page, a toolbox, and a gender-responsive methods, which enclose a lot of different tools and resources that you can use for free anytime you wish to. We also have, of course, an About page that provides a short overview in terms of the Hub's portfolio of services and a short description of GILL project as well. And of course, we have a Learn page because we are always aiming at supporting also people, stakeholders, and organizations in relation to learning and training with reference to gender-responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship. So a page in which we will see you can find a lot of different resources linked to learning and training issues. And last but not least, this is very important, there is a Contact Us page that will allow anybody interested in getting in touch with the team of GILL project to do so. From this page, you can also download the user guide and access, for example, to frequently asked questions. Going now section by section, this is the homepage, so the overall overview of what the Hub offers in a glance. So you can see the different sections that are actually incorporated into the different main pages of the Hub's menu. I will leave you here the link as well. But now it's really important to understand what kind of resources each section, which is reported in this slide, can really offer and provide to stakeholders and to you, of course. Starting from the Explore page, we have 4 different items included in this section. The first one, as mentioned, it is about the action-oriented experimentation. So it encloses the list of all the different case studies that are progressing through the project across the 8 European countries in which the pilot actions are taking place to demonstrate how gender and inclusivity can be used in research and entrepreneurship. For example, for the composition of teams, the generation and co-generation of ideas, enabling that hidden voices can be heard. We have then a good practices page, which is about collecting impactful activities, successful projects, and innovative strategies that somehow have been fostering gender equality within the fields of entrepreneurship and innovation. We have a third section of the Explore menu, that is linked to the gender-responsive methods. These methods have been co-created actually within the GILL project and tested in our action-oriented experimentations. Have been developed, therefore, through the collaborative efforts of partners for refining research methodologies and championing gender-responsive practices. Last but not least, in this part of the hub, there is a toolbox which has been designed to help you in your journey for being an entrepreneur, such as the Gender Mainstreaming Toolkit or the Equality Action Center Toolkit. So you can have a lot of different tools that can actually support your gender-responsive entrepreneurship pathway. Going to the examples, as mentioned, we have the description of the different action-oriented experimentations, and under each of those, you can find how the different activities has been conducted and which have been the methods used in each of the different pilot actions, together with the explanation and different steps of the methods so that you can have concrete examples of how to apply them. And this is just a screenshot of the toolbox page to provide you with some highlights of the tools that can be available. Going to the next section, we have the Learn one, which, of course, needless to say, considering the name, it enclosed anything related to training, and it also offers a validated glossary. With reference to the training materials, this section really aims at providing you with knowledge to sharpen your expertise in the field, of course, of gender and diversity inclusion. So you can access a lot of different trainings, a lot of different resources. Plus, we also provide a validated glossary, which is constantly under construction, and it encloses a lot of different definitions that are pertinent to the gender, smart innovation, and entrepreneurship, and can, of course, support your research as well. Few examples. All the webinars and trainings that have been conducted on the project are available on this page, so you can access them anytime. You can see the recording, access the slide, and of course, if needed, you can access also the glossary to have a look to the main definitions enclosed so far. The next page, I will go briefly on this because we will have an entire session devoted to this, is about the Meet section, which is composed of 4 different blocks: role models, mentoring, network, and forum. The role models actually list a lot of inspiring personal stories that are related to people who exemplify excellence, leadership, and innovation thinking. Mentoring allows anybody to book one-on-one meetings with expert mentors and to really benefit of tailored guidance and insights. The network page allows connection with key organizations and experts advocating for gender responsiveness across European countries. And last but not least, the forum, which represent a secure environment for sharing ideas, debating, seeking assistance on matters related to gender responsive, smart innovation and entrepreneurship, and many others. So as mentioned, there will be more info on this section in a few minutes. But let's come to the benefits for different sectors according to the hub. Of course, as mentioned, we are working with stakeholders from the quadruple helix, so the private sector, academia, research, citizens or civil society organization, and public sector, of course. So which are the benefits? For civil society, just an example, access to training can increase the influence on democratic and innovation processes. With reference to private sector, using tools to integrate gender and diversity into product design and innovation, or, for example, to enhance equality in working places, like we will see in a few minutes, thanks to one of the testimonials from GILL. Public sector, tools for more gender-responsive policymaking. And last but not least, academia and research. So by providing knowledge and tools linked to gender and diversity inclusion into educational practices, we'll have some hints also with reference to this part. As mentioned, we are going to showcase some good practices from GILL partners. So we will have some testimonials from few of the 15 action-oriented experimentations. We will start from our AOE number 3, which will be about increasing gender-responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship in new medical devices, healthcare tech, and tech-dependent intervention, which is led by Device for Dignity. Then we will shift our attention to the transport field, and we will focus on the work that has been done by the AOE number 5, improving greasy in transport design through VUI and AR techniques, led by Coventry University. And last but not least, retaining women in tech companies by changing workplace cultures, held by Hayley University. So what's next? We are looking forward for your feedback. The reason why you've been involved in this webinar, the reason why you're here is because most of you are working in projects that are somehow related to the gender and diversity issues. So we would like to kindly ask you to come to us whenever you want to suggest new content, because this is really an open platform in any sense. So whether you are providing some trainings or you've been developing position papers or whatever that can be published and shared and might represent an added value for people working in our fields, you can get in touch with us whenever you want and suggest to upload new content on the GILL Hub. And of course, you can ask us to present the Hub and its resources in your relevant events or workshops, and of course, promote the Hub across your projects and communities. So that's it from my side. I would stop the sharing of the screen to see if there are any questions. And if there's not, I would like to give the floor to Marta Plaza Hernandez that will provide a live journey through the Hub.
Thank you so much, Gabriella, for the introduction and the brief description of each of the modules. Hello, everyone. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna navigate through you the Hub. So yeah, basically when you enter the Hub, you land in the landing page where you can see the different submodules or blocks in which we have grouped the different resources and tools. If you are a little overwhelmed from all of this information, you can always rely on the sections that Gabriella explained before, the Explore, the Learn, and the Meet. As he said, we have an About section where you can have some information about the project and also the Hub, and then another one for contacting us. You can always send us a message through email, and also you have here a user guide that will also help you navigate the platform. So if you are a non-registered user and you enter in the Hub, you can access each of the modules and see the general information about it. But in order to go further or make use of the resources and the tools, then you will have to, okay, not this one because this is open. Let's, for example, this one. I don't know why all of this is open now, but okay. It will appear something like this, that you have to whether log in or sign up. If you are a registered user, you can enter your information and you will be in. And if not, you will have to create an account. For that, you will need to provide some basic personal information like your name, your organization, and also the category. We are very interested on the category you fall in, since, as Gabriella said, we are working with the target groups of the 4 quadruple helix. So for us, it's very important to understand to which type of category it is of our users. So once you have registered or logged in, which I will do now, you will have full access to all the contents and the resources of the Hub. So I will not enter in very detail in each of them, since Gabriella already mentioned. But let's start from the beginning. So for the action-oriented experimentations, as it has been said, there are 15 case studies from different European sectors that demonstrates how to integrate gender and inclusivity into research and also into entrepreneurship. You can click on each of the cards and get further information. Let's say, for example, the one related to measuring citizens' perception on social media, which has been developed for one of the project partners, the EAR Institute. Here you have basic information about the experiment, the goals, the horizontal innovation themes, the vertical innovation themes, activities conducted, and so on. And the same for the rest. Then moving on to the next one, which are the good practices. As has been said, these are these successful activities, projects, and innovative strategies that promote gender equality and in entrepreneurship. So again, we have displayed all of them in different cards where you can find short information, and if you click on it, you get more detailed insights. You can also be redirected to their websites if needed. Then moving on to the next one, the one that are gender responsive methods curated by the GILL Consortium, which is this set of tools or resources designed to support individuals and also organizations on their entrepreneurial journey. I think this is very interesting submodule, since you can filter the methods by different categories. If you are looking for something more organizational level or professional development and so on, you can also categorize them or filter them by spheres of innovation, design phase, and focus. So let's say, for example, I'm looking for a tool for professional development, tools and methods in the phase of co-design, and for example, for reflecting. So let's say, okay, I'm interested in these interviews. So I enter here and I have basic information about the tool and also the different steps to be followed in order to implement it. Then moving on to the next one, which is the toolbox. Here we have different toolbox. Some of them, which are this one, are already existing toolbox from other initiatives, projects, or organizations. And then on the top, those that says GILL Originals are the ones that have been developed by the project. So for example, we have this polling system. So if you click on it, you will be directed to the tool itself, and you can, of course, take a survey, make your own survey, and so on. So they are very interactive. Then moving on to the next one, which is a training material. As Gabriella said, this is a selection of learning resources designed to enhance gender equality, smart innovation, and entrepreneurship. This has been developed, so we are continue populating this module. And in order to make it visual friendly, we have, let's say, compiled into different formats. So we have the more audiovisual materials in the forms of webinars, workshops, and MOOCs. And then we also have a list of reading materials. Then moving on to the next one, which is the validated glossary, which is this collection of terms and definitions which we think they are essential to understand gender and smart innovation in entrepreneurship. This is another module that is being developed, so we are populating it with more and more words that could help our users to understand better related topics. So when you click in each of it, you have basically the definition and also some references or citations if you want to navigate further these concepts. And then we have the role models, which, as Gabriella said, are these, let's say, personal stories of individuals who demonstrate leadership in gender equality. So they are in the same format that other modules, with like a card, so you can click on each of it and get further insights on on it, and also external links maybe to their personal web pages and so on. Then we have the mentoring, which I think is one of the most innovative functionalities of our hub. So the mentoring is a program to support gender equality. And so users, when they are registered, you can schedule or book one-on-one meetings with experts. So for example, I'm looking for knowing better Andra. So I click on her car, and what I can see at first is some short bio about her, but then I can, understand better what is her expertise by going through her CV. And if I think I have some synergies with her or something we could discuss, I can book an appointment with her. So in order to book an appointment, Andra has selected some available time slots and have presented them here. So when I click on one, I can book one. So I will send her a direct email. So as soon as she confirms the appointment, we can have a meeting through Zoom or Google Meet or any other platform. Also, if you want to check what is the state of your bookings, you can always go to your profile and go through your mentor's appointments. Here, right now, I don't have any appointment, but you will see here the appointments you have listed, the ones that have been confirmed, the ones that have been delayed. And also you can book an appointment from here and you will be redirected to this, to the module. Then we have the network. The network is, as Gabriella said, a space to explore different profiles of organizations and individuals that are involved in related topics. Again, we are continuously updating these modules, these submodules or subtasks with more information. We started with Europe, but of course, in the future, we would like to expand this to other continents as well. So you can click, for example, in one of the countries and you see here different initiatives. And then you can go directly to their websites. And then last but not least, we have the forum, which has been said is this safe environment for sharing news and information. We have selected a set of macro topics, but of course it will be more in the future. So when you enter in one of the macro topics, you have the different discussions where you can contribute to with your opinions. And then to finish this navigation through the hub, I would like also to present one of the last functionalities that has been deployed on it, which is the GILL Assistant. Basically, the GILL Assistant is a chatbot. Okay, I'm sure that you are all familiar with what a chatbot is. So basically, this is all also under improvement. We are updating it every day with more information to make it more intelligent, let's say. So basically, a user that come to the hub, register and say, okay, but now what I do, what I want, I don't really know what type of information I'm looking for. So they can, make use of this hub. So for example, let's say I said, I'm looking for information about gender biases. It's taking time. Okay, so the GILL Assistant would say different information that can be found for this topic, but okay, I'm still very, I don't know where to find this information. So okay, I like this information. What should I do? Provide me with the links, right? Provide me the links of this information in the hub. And now we should replicate the same information with a direct link to each of it in the hub. some time. Maybe not today. Sorry, I don't know why it's not, maybe it's my internet connection or something. Well, in any case, the users have here the assistant to help them, find the specific information. So that would be all from my side. Oh, well, there is an error. Okay. Just don't look at it. No, I'm joking. So that would be all from my side. I don't know if you have any question.
Great, thanks. Thanks a lot, Marta. This live journey was really, really important to let people understand how actually easy it is to navigate the platform and to find different content according to what people might looking for. Thanks a lot. If there are no other, oh, maybe there is something in the chat. Oh, very impressive platform. Thank you. We hope you will use them and you will promote it across your projects or community. Thanks a lot. I would now share again my screen and give the control to the next speakers. So we are ready for the practical applications, let's say, of the different methods used by some of our action-oriented experimentations. There will be 3 speakers, 2 live and 1 offline. Edda Sellin from Aylburn University, Arun Ulahannan from Coventry University, and we will have recorded video from Hayley Morris, Devices for Dignity. So I will share the control with Edda. No, it seems like it's not possible. So Edda, if you wish, I can change the slides whenever you want.
As Gabriella just said, I'm today here to present some success stories from Heilbronn University. While my presentation tries to upload a second time, I'm just going to start. To give you a short agenda, I will shortly talk about who I am and where I'm coming from. And afterwards, I will share 2 success stories, but also a little bit into the content that was used within these 2 stories. And regarding myself, thanks to the introduction from Gabriella, I'm Edda Sellin. I'm a researcher at Heilbronn University, to be exactly at the Lab for Social Informatics. And with a background in cultural anthropology and gender studies, I bring hands-on experience and also theoretical insights. I'm together from Heilbronn University with my professor, Nicola Marston. Now I can click through it. Sorry that it took so long. Nicola Marston is a research professor as well, and she leads several projects at Heilbronn University and is also teaching. Her work centers on advancing diversity and inclusion in tech with the particular focus on gender equality. And she has served as an expert advisor for initiatives such as Germany's Equality Report and the German UNESCO Committee, and is also co-author of a book and many other publications. What we're doing at GILL, you have heard of the gender responsive methods. This was our responsibility here to develop these in a co-creation process with all of our partners. We are also made a roadmap for all the AOEs for the use cases of the GILL project, and of course collaborate with other work packages. And as it has been mentioned, now my presentation is slow again, but we are also having one use case, one AOE, action-oriented experimentation by ourselves. It's the retaining women in tech topic. This takes place in a living lab context. We work together with tech companies, with academics, with individuals, with professional associates, with a goal to make changes in team practices for more gender-responsive, smart innovation and entrepreneurship in tech companies. So what is our challenge? Although that tech companies hire more women at the moment to reduce some forms of gender inequalities, they do not change their workplace culture, or also they do not make products more gender fair or more gender friendly. So our goal is to convince tech companies and also demonstrate how they can make gender inequality a priority to change their team practices, to design methods and tools with a goal to retain women in the innovation cycle and to develop gender-responsive innovation in this private sector. My first success story, as you just seen, we are working together with tech companies, with individuals, with groups, and most of the time I'm a researcher, I'm leading this or I coordinate this project. I talk with a lot of people, I coordinate discussions and panels and all of that, and I give a lot of input. And this works quite well. It's good received, and we're having a good everyday work with all our stakeholders, I would say. But one success story I would like to share is that the stakeholders are exploring GILL Hub all by themselves. The exact situation was that one manager found a gender-responsive method that fit her needs, and she just implemented it in her everyday work by herself, without my advice, without questions asked, without letting me know at first, just after she implemented it. And after it worked for a few weeks, I think, she let me know, and I was quite happy about it, because this actually means a change of the workplace culture in this specific team she's managing. What she did is she implemented round robin. This is one of our gender responsive methods. You can also find it via the QR code on the hub. And this is one very simple method if you want to create an inclusive environment. And it's just, instead of opening up the topic up for discussion and just see who talks, you go around them. So it's making sure that each team member has a voice. It's straightforward, but very effective in ensuring everyone's input is valued. And on the hub, you can also find a step-by-step explanation in how to implement this, for example, in your own team or in the team you are working with, you are doing your own research with. I also want to give you a little bit of insight what's behind all of this, because what we are using within our method collection that consists of over 40 interventions is mostly behavioral design. It's about designing practices and structures in a way that helps a person or a team to reach their goals. We design the environment in such a way that the right behavior becomes the default. So you can perhaps visualize using an iceberg, and under the surface of the water are the things that are not directly visible: the culture in the organization, the culture in the team, biases, social perception, desires, preferences, and expectations. And above the surface, the observable things: behavior, practices, environment. And this is what behavioral design focuses on. And we can transfer the findings of behavioral design to the design of fair and equitable tech companies. What do we need so that the behavior that we need to show to create fair teams, for example, that this becomes the default? Our research is about how we can tweak existing practices so that fair tech teams are the standard output. And we have developed and tested these methods that implement practices within our 15 AOEs, within the GILL use cases. And if you ask about how we go about it, we take existing practices in organizations and teams as a starting point. For example, the way we start a discussion in round robin. If you have a goal, for example, more participation from women in discussions or women to be more psychologically safe, I can therefore examine this empirically. How can I change the practice of a discussion in this example? So that we get closer to this goal? And how do we run the meeting that the women participate more, in a more fair way? And as I said, we tried and tested the practices for this. with different goals of each practice, and one of them is the round robin, to let different voices have their say, instead of allowing the people who just speak the most to have the most influence. But not to go too deep into the design and the co-creation of the methods, I want to tell you just another success story. And this is not a behavioral design method, because we have even more. We also have stuff like an activation tool. And my success is a very significant interest in an activation tool I offered at the developer conference, which is the privilege walk activation tool. And just to give you a little bit of insight about the day, that was a developer conference of one tech company we worked with, and I would say it's a very busy environment. There were sessions regarding, the sessions were about all the everyday tasks the developers had, new innovative ways of working, very technical topics, all about. I was there to present GILL, give them an insight on the hub, and I was wearing, I asked if I just give a poster or stand there with my iPad to offer our resources, there would not be that much interest, because the people were just chasing the next session. So what I did was I offered the activation tool where they move their body. And I wasn't sure how good it would be to do this, but at the end, it was very successful. I conducted the privilege walk through the day with groups from 4 to 9 people and around 10 times. So I was busy all of the day doing this, because in the end, most of the time, huge groups did the privilege walk. The people around there looked up what we did. The people who stand around also participated in discussions. The people who did the privilege walk, who participated in it, shared their reflections, and there were also several inquiries on like certain fairness issues the people now realized they had in their teams. And this also led to an interest in the GILL Hub as well. And just to close the little circle I'm doing at the moment, actually, the first success story where one of the managers told me about using round robin happened like a few months after this. So a person who was at the beginning of this privilege walk, not very interested in the topic of gender, started to use the GILL Hub at the end, because this privilege walk catched their interest. So just to give you a little insight about the method as well, this is a tool for teams to reflect on their privileges, and actually it's a tool that should always be guided, because otherwise people tend to simplify the complexity or the complex reality of identity building. So what's next? I hope you will also find more ways to be gender responsive or fair on our hub. You can look up what fits your needs, like Marta just showed you within the gender responsive methods with the best practices. You can book a mentorship, all of that. And you should also register on the hub to get in touch with us and use the form to talk about maybe your own success story very soon. And I'm looking forward to read from one or many of you about how you implemented things we offer at our hub. Thank you very much for your attention. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend the whole webinar, but if you do have questions at the end of the meeting, please feel free to reach out. I'm sure Gabriella and Arianna will let me know. And if you have questions now, you can just unmute yourself. Yes.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Edda, for providing a concrete taste of how the different methods that we provide through the hub have been already practically used and appreciated by stakeholders outside the project. This was the aim of this, let's say, roundtable between the 3 AOEs, really to highlight how the resources and tools provided through the hub can be useful across different sectors and for many different purposes. So thanks a lot, Edda. If there are no questions or comments at the moment, I would like to kindly give the floor to Arun. You can start your presentation and share your screen. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I will, share my screen. Give me a second. So can everyone see the slides now?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, well, yeah, thank you for inviting me to share, some of our experiences using the GILL Hub. I think this is a good example of how the GILL Hub is useful in a field where there's very little understanding of gender responsive methods. So I'll give you a little bit of the transport context, and then we'll talk about exactly how we're using the GILL Hub and how useful it's been. So, in a sentence, transport is really not inclusive. Around 58% of women feel unsafe using public transport in the UK, and these figures are quite similar across other countries as well. When we look at crash scenarios, there's around a 20% higher risk of death for women in a car crash versus men. And when we think about public transport, actually, women make 30% more bus journeys than men, so actually are a heavier user of the public transport system, and yet are still underrepresented in decision making and a lot of the design. And around 33% of women suffered sexual offences whilst commuting in the UK, so a really high number. So there is definitely a gap, and something's going wrong. And the impact of this is, of course, access to transport is crucial for participation in society, for economies, and for everything that the GILL project stands for around, being involved in innovation and entrepreneurship. It's absolutely critical to have that access to mobility. And there is this disproportionate effect on women who rely more on public transport, which increases those barriers to being able to be involved in these key parts of society. And there's a kind of cyclical effect here, which is kind of coined as transport poverty, right? By limiting access to these opportunities, which then leads to exclusion in policy making, which then kind of reinforces this whole cycle. And there's a massive underrepresentation of women in the STEM workforce, so in science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing. There's only around 26% of the workforce are women. So this underrepresentation is also affecting outcomes. And this has a huge effect, and it's of course recognized in the UN Sustainable Development Goals as well. So as part of the GILL project, what we wanted to do at the Transport Design Centre was understand, is there something that's happening in the research side that is contributing to this? And what we found from our research was that there were four key themes around sort of the transport research culture being resistant to change. There's a lack of trust in research institutions themselves from underrepresented groups, and this has a load of historical reasons behind it. And also the research methods we use are not fair and have bias. And there's a lack of exposure and visibility. And so across these sort of things that we discovered are the problems in transport research, actually the GILL Hub provides us the tools that we can kind of point people to say, look, this is how we address these issues. So if we look at transport research culture, the GILL Hub allows us those networks to champion gender responsiveness. So, at the department, we're very aware of the importance of looking at this, but across the transport world, it's not the case. So to be able to point colleagues to these resources and say, look, this is best practice, this is how we need to be thinking about the work when we're designing transport systems or vehicles, to have that resource is really valuable. And of course, the forums to engage in those in the transport discourse around gender and to connect with role models, as Gabriella was kind of showing in the demo. These are all key parts of changing research culture. And again, the GILL Hub represents that kind of single resource that we can point people to make those changes. And then when we look at the user side, how do we develop trust in research institutions, which historically have been very white male driven? How do we get users to trust in research institutions and say that, and to make them understand that actually we have their interests at heart? And so things like the polling and crowdsourcing tools that are on the GILL Hub, again, have been very useful to point some of our colleagues towards, to enable that greater awareness and training on the importance of engaging with users and the importance of engaging with people who have lived experience. And of course, those networks as well who have strong connections with users, removing those barriers to actually involving people in the research process is a key part of addressing a lot of these transport barriers. And then the research methods themselves. So a lot of transport research, the issues that are present in it come down to the methods that are used and the lack of fair recruitment. A good example of this is things like driving simulators are often used to test a load of different safety related scenarios. But the thing is, it's not a very inclusive tool. There are gender differences in terms of how people experience motion sickness, and none of these factors, kind of physiological factors, are accounted for, at least in my experience, in how these simulators are designed. So there's a lot of bias in the methods themselves. And so to have, again, the GILL Hub, which kind of allows us to highlight some key methods, and I think particularly in a transport context, things like the sex disaggregated data, often gender differences are kind of averaged out into one data set to again, to point people towards a robust and detailed list of gender responsive methods is really powerful and really useful. And again, having that weight of GILL behind these methods to say this is a validated resource that's been built by a consortium of, you know, highly talented people is really valuable and something that really hasn't existed before. And then finally, when it comes to exposure and visibility, you know, how do we increase the representation of women in transport? And again, you know, having this single validated resource to empower change makers to make these issues more visible, and again, to have access to that mentoring, really important. So to give you some specific examples, so in terms of, you know, our department, so we have quite a large PhD student cohort at the department, all looking at different areas of transport research, who are now putting far greater consideration into their sort of gender inclusive recruitment and data analysis. And again, pointing to the content on the hub is an extremely convenient way of pointing them in the right direction. And in fact, a lot of the tools that are on the GILL Hub were a key part of some of the funding that I won around a new PhD, which is looking at transport safety for women. So she has just started her PhD, and actually the money that we won for that we did mention the GILL Hub as part of that. So it's been a great success to be able to point to that. And internally as well, we're undertaking a review of practices based on a lot of the GILL Hub content to look at how we're recruiting, the methods that we're using. And recently I was, you know, very happy to be promoted to a co-director role at the Doctoral Training Alliance. So this is a nationwide alliance of universities which focus on how do we train the PhD students of the future and providing that training and resources to them. And a lot of this content is now on the GILL Hub. I'm putting into our kind of training nationwide as well. So I think a lot of this comes down to, you know, having that single resource that we can point to that has been co-developed with all of the consortium partners, and it's been extremely useful, especially in a field where there's very little recognition of these issues, and we're kind of fighting an uphill battle to start that conversation, and this hub can really help kickstart that process. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arun. In test slides, you've been able to spotlight on issues across the transport field related to gender and diversity issues, linked to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and of course, highlighting your success stories when using and accessing the resources of the hub. So thanks a lot. I don't know if there are any questions. By the way, just a reminder that we're going to share and publish the recording of this webinar together with the slides, so you will have complete access to the whole presentations you have been looking today. Thank you, Arun. If there are no questions and comments, I will leave the floor to Arianna to introduce you the third testimonial, and then to drive you across the Meet tools of the hub. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabriella, and good afternoon, everyone. So as Gabriella mentioned before, we have a third success story that we want to share. And as she also mentioned, the person, Hayley Morris, is not here today to show her the success story herself, but she has provided us with a short recording. So I will now play it for you. And please let me know if there are any technical issues with the sound. And we can comment later, and then we move forward with the other section of today's presentation. I will now start the recording.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hayley Morris, the Deputy Head of Operations for Devices for Dignity, and I'm excited to tell you about some of the work that we've been doing within the GILL project. So Devices for Dignity is one of 14 health tech research centres within the UK, and our remit is to drive new health technologies from industry, academia, and healthcare professionals into the NHS. D4D has a focus on long-term conditions, but other HRCs have different focus areas such as brain injury, in vitro diagnostics, and other elements of health technologies that might be useful for the public. The vision for Devices for Dignity is that we work with industry to develop technologies to assist people with long-term health conditions to live well for longer while maintaining independence, dignity, and the ability to enjoy life. So our processes are quite varied. We can accept collaboration requests from a whole range of sectors, including industry, but also patients, the public, and carers. When we accept these collaboration requests, we go through our process, which is a 6-phase model shown here as a slightly squiggly worm. This goes from kind of understanding identification of unmet needs around the problem that the collaboration request is addressing. We then validate those needs, and if it passes those 2 triage points, we look to kind of design a project around this, develop new technologies, and develop the technology all the way through to kind of impactful, effective, and accessible technology. Throughout this whole process, we include end user involvement, so working with patients and the public to make sure that what we're designing and developing actually has a kind of purposeful outcome and is useful for those who need it. Within the GILL project, D4D is acting as one of 15 action-oriented experimentations. So this is happening across 8 countries in the project as a whole, with partners who operate to kind of pilot actions within using GILL as a living lab. So each pilot case provides a real-life environment where both open innovation and user innovation processes can be studied and new solutions can be developed. So within this, there's several different categories around health and resilience, green transition, and digital. D4D sits squarely in the health category for this one, due to our background expertise in the development of health technologies. So the purpose of our action-oriented experimentation, or AOE, is to incorporate the wealth of information and tools and methods that have been developed in the GILL project to improve D4D's user-centered approach. So as I mentioned on an earlier slide, we're very focused on using patient and public involvement and engagement throughout our 6-phase model. And initially within the project, we were intending to use the tools and methods with some of our innovation fellowship fellows to test the different tools and methods in their projects. However, when we started the GILL project, we realized actually that the testing of these tools and methods could really apply well to all of the different processes of our 6-phase model, and could actually lead towards some organizational change within Devices for Dignity. So we slightly modified our key objectives, challenges, and goals to look at incorporating GILL tools and methods to improve our user-centered approach and apply and attest these resources in health and innovation within Devices for Dignity. This, the aim of this is that it would lead to increased awareness of gendered health inequalities and related approaches to developing new technologies in our core team, with the aim globally to lead to a change in practice and an increase in gender responsive health related to innovations and entrepreneurship. So as we went through this process of utilising the GILL tools and methods in different aspects of our 6-phase innovation model, we started to realise that a bit of a theme of organisational change was developing. So organisational change refers to the transforming of structures, processes and cultures to meet new challenges and opportunities. Within the context of gender, this often involves kind of recognising and addressing some inbuilt systemic biases that can impact on decision making and leadership and innovation. So broadly speaking, this breaks down to kind of a 6 structure of activity within each of the different elements of our 6-phase model that we've been looking at, and also the impact on the core team. So this breaks down to kind of a first phase of assessment, a second phase of awareness and education, the third phase around integrating new methods and new tools to help kind of reinforce this awareness. Following on from that integration is an element of restructuring, actually changing processes to make them more equitable and fair. And over time, this leads to cultural change. And obviously a key point around making sure that this cultural change is long lasting is monitoring and improvement and feeding back through this model. This has been really interesting for us. And actually with another AOE, which is AOE 14, the experimentarium in Denmark, we found that together we've ended up using the tools and methods in this similar way. So it's really interesting to see how this model has acted over very different institutions. The experimentarium, for example, is a museum, and we're a health tech research centre, but it just goes to show how widely these tools can be applied. So we began at D4D with a bit of a review of our kind of current gender policy, some team discussions and reflective interviews around the impact of gender and innovation, and just kind of asking the core team if anyone had really thought of these kind of issues for the potential innovators that we work with. As a very female-led team, we were a bit skeptical that actually we would have any kind of issues around kind of gender and innovation. And so using the GILL tools and methods was really eye-opening for us. So there's just some examples on this very busy slide around some of the activities that we undertook. We used the monitoring airtime tool to look at the gender spread of input into some of our theme meetings and structures. We also use Gender Mag, which is a tool where you look at kind of resources through a gendered lens to investigate our website, but also our educational resources that we use with some of our innovation fellows. And then we also looked at our collaboration request process and how many projects had come to us from male versus female innovators in our past funded period, and actually how many of those were taken forward. And it was really interesting to us that of the requests we received, only 15.2% of female-led collaboration requests were taken forward, compared to 43.1% of male-led requests. So we started to use these tools and methods to really interrogate our processes, and this was a very eye-opening bit of work for us. I obviously don't have time to dig into all of the activities within the GILL project here, but we did a series of reflective interviews with female innovators who've worked with us currently and worked with us in the past. And you can see from this kind of scatter diagram of comments, there's huge issues for them around male-dominated networks, lack of role models, impacts of age and pregnancy on female innovators and their perception, and also lots of issues around tokenism in investment and missed opportunities in women's health. So the impact of using the GILL tools and methods within D4D has been quite wide-ranging. We now have a women's health theme, recognising that women live longer than men in the UK and spend a greater proportion of their lives in ill health. And with women representing over 50% of the population, many startups are now innovating specifically in needs of areas of such as fertility, pelvic floor health and menopause. And we're exploring how these interact with other long-term conditions. We're using the GILL tools and methods as well to make sure that the way that we're interacting with these largely female innovators is equitable and fair, and takes into account of a lot of the additional needs that we've noted within our reflective interviews. We've also redeveloped our website using the Gender Mag tool to make sure that all of the information on there is representative, balanced and fair. And similar tools and methods have been used in our reflection of education materials, public engagement and needs assessment. So that's been a very quick whistle-stop tour of some of the D4D activities in GILL, and I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure been working with the team, and please head to the GILL Hub to find out more. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I wanted to make a little heads up. If you have any questions for Hayley and her presentation, please type them in the chat box so we can forward them to her and put the two of you in contact if you have any further, I don't know, doubts or questions, or you want to learn more about something that she said. So,
good afternoon.
Moving on to the next section of today's webinar. As Gabriella mentioned before, we're going to dig more deep into 3 of the modules that are part of the Meet section of the Hub, the Mentoring Network and Forum. And in this short presentation, I really want to show you the impact and powerfulness of these 3 modules. These tools are designed to help you bring, and the users, the visitors, bring more gender responsive into your work of innovation or entrepreneurship in practical and engaging ways. And they are very important because they allow an interaction among the members of the GILL Hub community and beyond, connecting both people and initiatives. But before going into the detail of these 3 modules, I wanted to briefly tell you more about the Meet section and make a distinction between what you can find in there. Because the Meet section can be divided into 2 smaller sections. On the one hand, we have the Meet with engagement, meaning that you really, if you go in these 3 modules, the Mentoring Network and Forum, you will find real people to connect with, real networks, real communities you can really exchange with. On the other side, we have Meet without engagement, meaning there is a more static section. There is the role models one that has been presented already, both by Gabriella and Marta, and that we will see again under a different lens, where you will find successful stories by people who really are inspiring for what they've done, but throughout history. So it could be modern time success stories and models, or very ancient ones. So you cannot really contact them in some cases, but it's still interesting to learn more about their stories, to really integrate them into your work and get insights as you proceed with your journey in gender responsiveness and innovation in general. So the role modules module, very briefly, looks like this, as you saw before, and it presents inspiring personal accounts. If you go into the individual profile, you will find a description of the person. In this case, I just grabbed an example. The About page is to really learn about their story, and there also are external links where you can find more information about what they've done in their lives. So the process really is to search the role model, read about their story, learn and get inspired possibly by their story, and if you wish to include insights into your work and also spread the word about these people that have done something so special regarding the topics that we focus on in the GILL project, but that we should really focus on as a society, as citizens and people living in this world. So it's really important topics that we try to gather in this page and through the lens of these successful people and stories. Now, since we've talked about the role models in depth in the previous sections, I would like to focus more on the more let's say community-based sections of the hub, which, as I said before, are the mentoring, network, and forum. These three modules each play a different role in the hub, but they all support the same goal, which is that of supporting practitioners and visitors in integrating gender responsiveness in their journey and in their work in general, whether it's innovation, entrepreneurship, or both. Also by fostering knowledge exchange and networking activities. They all do this in a different way. For example, with the mentoring, visitors will receive individual guidance. With the network, they build really a community of practice. And with the forum helps at creating a collective knowledge exchange. So in different ways, they all aim at the same goal. Starting off with the mentoring module, you already saw it looks like this. Basically, this module allows to connect users with expert mentors who offer one-on-one support in areas like gender equality strategies, smart innovation, entrepreneurial development, for example, and also all the topics that were mentioned earlier by Gabriella and also by the partners of our project. So health, digital transition, green transition, etc., etc. And these sessions are tailored and challenge focused. So they really help innovators, educators, and visitors to take their work to the next step with guidance that is grounded in the real world experience. To go more in detail into what the target audience for this module will be, even though, as Gabriella said before, the audience is very wide and for all the modules tries to gather all the actors of the quadruple helix, we still have identified some people who could really benefit from this module in particular, which are, for example, early stage entrepreneurs, educators designing inclusive curricula, and teams developing inclusive products and or services. And to go more in detail into how this module could be integrated into the everyday work of these particular stakeholders. For example, it can be used as a support mechanism in gender equality training programs, or it can be included in incubator or accelerator programs for startups. So it could really be used as a supporting material or, mechanism to be integrated into existing programs or trainings. And the benefits, of course, are that it tackles biases. It gives more confidence to the visitors who have this one-on-one sessions because they will have more knowledge by the end of their session. It empowers decision-making. And of course, all of this helps bridging knowledge gaps, which is something that we really try to tackle within our project. Moving forward to the network module, we already saw how it looks like, and going more into details, the network is basically a directory of organizations and initiatives across Europe that focus on gender responsive innovation and all the topics that we already mentioned in the context of the project. In particular, it provides and promotes cross-border visibility, collaboration, and exchange. And of course, it is a great way to explore what other people are doing across Europe or find examples that align with your work. So, for example, here again, we can see the target audience. We have identified, again, a set of stakeholders, but really it can be used across the 4 helixes of the quadruple helix and beyond. But there could be, for example, researchers in gender studies and tech, or policymakers building gender smart ecosystems, or startup founders seeking inclusive partners, for example. And how to integrate the networking module into your work. It could be used by you if you have an initiative, if you're leading a project, for example, that could be interesting for the hub to showcase your initiative or project. And at the same time, of course, to look for other initiatives that you might share some values with. So it really is a great way to explore more about the topics that you yourself are focusing on with your initiative / project. And of course, it gives enhanced visibility, as I said before, and connection with diverse organizations across Europe, and gives you access to a whole ecosystem that supports knowledge exchange and alignment of best practices across initiatives. Then we have the forum module. The forum module, as we said, creates a safe space, a moderated space for open exchange in different topics. It is designed to share updates, ask questions, create discussions, all centered on gender responsive smart innovation and entrepreneurship and beyond. And it is really important to take a look at this part of the hub, because as the community of the GILL Hub grows, this really becomes we could say, the living library for peer-driven knowledge and experience exchange. So it really creates the base, a base that is built by the community itself and led by the community. And the target audience could be, for example, practitioners with real-world challenges, educators and facilitators of innovation trainings, entrepreneurs looking for feedback and resources. And how to use it into your work. You could use it to gather ideas, resources, and feedback on practices. So, for example, if you are leading a project and you really want to tackle one specific issue, you could use the forum to post your the topic you want to talk about, you want feedback on or suggestions on, and start a thread from there. So it could be really useful if you want feedback from the real world community on something that you are preparing. Or you can post questions or challenges during project's implementation. And the benefits are that it strengthens the gender responsive smart innovation ecosystem and fosters reflective learning, while providing a go-to resource for peer advice and fresh insights. Because again, this is a very interactive one, so you can really respond to comments, post others, like messages, and everything is moderated. So it is really a safe space to do so. To summarize, here we have a little table that describes the 3 modules and really tries to get the key aspects of them. So the mentoring, who is it for? Mainly entrepreneurs and educators. You can use it by booking expert one-on-one sessions. It matters because it gives personalized and inclusive advice on specific matters. The network module, who is it for? Mainly innovators, organizations, change makers, and it could be used to find collaborators and partners. It is important because it builds diverse innovation ecosystems. And the forum, to be used by community members to ask, share, and exchange on specific matters for our ongoing learning and peer support. So we really wanted to showcase these 3 aspects because they are, while the rest of the hub, of course, is really important, it is static. Here you can really exchange and create real connections with people and initiatives. So we believed it was worth to be given a section of today's presentation for this reason. We hope you will find them useful as well and you will use them. So now that the presentation is over, we would like to open the floor to you to really share your opinions, ideas, questions, whatever you want to say about what you've heard so far. So we have this interactive Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourselves. And also, if you have any comments, keep in mind that in a few minutes, we're also going to have a more interactive session through a Mentimeter, so you will be requested to give your inputs there as well. But if you want to open the mic and share your ideas, please feel free. I will stop sharing in the meanwhile so I can see if there's anything. You can also write in the chat, of course. Maybe, Gabriella, maybe they prefer writing. We could, I don't know. Tell me
if we can open the Menti.
Yes, exactly. So I will reshare because the code is there. Okay, so we have prepared a short Mentimeter to grasp some of your ideas after the session. You can use the code that you see here to 1409116. You can scan the QR code and access through your phone. You can go to menti.com and insert the code. And I can actually share the link in the chat box as well, maybe. See. Okay, so I pasted the link in the chat box, so I will stop sharing this one and start sharing the Mentimeter so you all can see. Okay, and the first question was, now that you have learned what the GILL Hub is about, will you use it and or promote it? And I see that we are gaining a lot of yeses, so this makes us really happy to know that at least you found it useful in a way and you think it could be helpful to be integrated into your everyday work and worth of being promoted to other similar initiatives. Okay, I think you all voted, at least who connected to the Mentimeter voted. And we're going to work on the not sure. We're curious to learn what can be improved also. So moving on to the next question. Do you think we could initiate a collaboration between GILL and your project now that you have learned what it is about? Okay, still very positive balance that we're receiving. And we're happy to, of course, as Gabriella said before, if you have anything, like the collaboration could also be you proposing materials for the hub about your initiative. So if you are interested in showcasing your results and you think they could fit into one of the categories of the modules of the hub, please feel free to reach out and we will be happy to collaborate on this one. But again, I think this is very positive, a very positive result. Okay, we can move on to the last question. Do you have any ideas or suggestions for the future of the GILL Hub? This might take a little longer, like to type, let's say, but please feel free to share your suggestions, your inputs, what you think could be improved in terms of content, or whatever you feel could be helpful for us also for the future of the platform. Yes, need to promote it effectively. That's indeed very true, and we hope we will also have your support in doing this if you found this useful through your networks. More workshop co-organized with different relevant projects, which is something that indeed was in our pipeline. And now that we know that you are keen to collaborate with us, we could also initiate discussions about this. Engage people to chat in the forum also is a really good advice, because it is a great space for exchanging ideas. GILL Hub and tools to be supported and sustained after the end of GILL. This is something under discussion on how and okay, upcoming events should be easier to be found on the website, which is also a great advice for us. At least we understand what is going not very well, let's say. How long will GILL last? GILL will last until December 2025, so we are in the last months of the project. Again, if you want to, I don't know, to say more than you wrote, please feel free to mute. More connection to and promotion on social media and traditional media if possible. So you feel like so far the platform hasn't been, like could have been more promoted. Yes, it is. About mentoring, what I forgot to mention earlier is indeed the mentoring program is the newly launched module of the Hub. So we really launched it by the end of March. So it's still very new, and as you could see, our panel of mentors is still it's growing. So to help us make it more, make it fuller, let's say, we would like to ask if you are interested, or if you know that somebody that you know is interested in potentially becoming a mentor for the Hub. Again, if you want to learn more on how to apply, you can write an email to GILL coordinator, as Gabriella said before, so we can also tell you which requirements are there for becoming a mentor, and how the program works in more details on the side of the mentor, because today we explain it more on the side of the visitors, but of course there also are benefits and requirements as well on the side of the mentor. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out. Okay, for the moment.
Just to underline that everything on the platform is totally for free, of course. So all the resources available are openly and accessed for free of charge in any time. And the mentors are became mentors on a voluntary basis. There is no fee, let's say, for becoming mentors. So it's sort of a win-win situation between mentors and mentees. But anything, it's absolutely for free whenever you wish to use it.
Exactly. Thank you, Gabriella, for the clarification. I think the inputs are over or have stopped for the moment, so I think we can go back to the main presentation for the closing remarks.
Okay, I think we are at the end of this webinar, perfectly on time, just 40 minutes delayed. I would like really to thank all of you for being here, the partners, and especially the external persons that are not involved in GILL and were interested in knowing more the project, and of course the Hub and all the resources that it can offer. We really hope that this was just the first step. of the cooperation between GILL and the projects and community that you represent. And please feel free to get in touch with us whenever you want to co-organize workshops together or co-promote the hub or whatever it can be useful for again, our networks, communities, and projects. Thank you. Thanks a lot again to our speakers for being here and for sharing their experiences with the hub. It was a pleasure to have you here as co-speakers, and it was a pleasure again to have you all here as participants interested in our hub. Really thanks a lot, and have a nice afternoon. Looking forward for more cooperation across us. Thank you.